Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to our first playoff game of the League of Legends Iowa C Division. This is DJ here casting for you tonight as we are getting into picks and bans between Emerson College with the 3 seed and the Akron Impact with the 6 seed in our playoff format here tonight. As we can see here, a couple bans coming through on the side of Emerson College already. We can see the Galio and Trundle taken off the table, with the Shen taken off the table here first for the Akron Impact. I'm excited here tonight to see what these teams are going to bring out now that the playoffs are set, the bracket is set, and these games are win or go home for all of our teams in this tournament, or at least win for the tournament bracket here. So definitely a chance to pull out some new stuff here tonight if they have not tried it yet, and really make sure that they are in their most powerful positions to continue to advance through this bracket. So you see a Maokai ban rounding out the bans here for Emerson. We see Rumble on the side of Akron Impact, and we'll see what their final ban is here before we get into picks. It will hover this Ash and will ban it away. So pretty standard ban there on the Ash side, but it looks like some more targeted bans in the rest of the slots here for both sides, as it looks like Emerson hovering the Mordekaiser with this first pick, and they will lock that one in. Cheese it, man. I believe we'll see what Akron do to play into this Mordekaiser, though that is a champion that is a little bit hard to counterpick, can always just null ganks by putting the jungler in the Death Realm. Usually will be a level or two higher than that jungler, but wow, Akron Impact hovering the Master Yi here. This would be a rarity, and it will be locked in the first pick slot here. Very interesting, and a bold throwdown from Akron Impact saying, we are going to try to run you over with this solo cute menace, and you're going to have to draft to stop us. We'll see what they do pair it with here with their second pick. Be the Jhin. It's definitely a little bit more of a pick AD carry. Can obviously deal the damage, but not someone who's going to be as high in the DPS charts as some other AD carries. And Sejuani here going to come up for the side of Emerson along with the Lulu. And as I mentioned, with that sort of gauntlet thrown down by the Yi, Emerson College is answering with a ton of CC coming out here to round out their first round of picks. You got Sejuani passive E and ult, along with that Lulu W and ult that can really slow this Yi down in team fights. Out here, Akron going to round out with a Bard, so a pretty aggressive bot lane here. Blinded really is only the Lulu showing, but that Lulu could technically still be mid, so do blind that bot lane. Quite squishy, does have a good amount of range in the early game, but can kind of get beaten up by the right combination, and they do ban away the Aphelios here. With their first second round ban, be matched by the Syndra. So Emerson College looking to limit that mid lane champion pool. See what Akron looking for, probably some sort of support or AD carry ban here, as again they have blinded their entire bot lane and will want to remove some of the worse options that Emerson College could go for, and they will take away that Vayne. I think that is a pretty decent choice. Is a little bit hard for both Master Yi and really anyone to get on top of if played well, and an absolute nightmare for Jhin in the late game. He takes one shot of his with his fixed attack speed. By the time he's about to take his second, he's already dead. So we'll see an Ahri ban, actually. A little surprising there. That seems to be a targeted ban, as we don't see a lot of Ahri these days. Just a lot of champions out there better or equivalent to Ahri at the best parts of her kit, which sort of are those quick snap, engage, and pick onto solo champions. And instead, we will see the Oriana come through, something that has been very meta. But oh boy, here comes the Caitlyn and an Aurelion Sol for Emerson College. That's the first one I've seen casting this season so far. Aurelion Sol, not a champion seen very often, but will give an absolute crapload of mid lane priority in the early game here. Really, no champion in the mid lane pool can push as hard as this Aurelion Sol in the early game, control that wave and get roams off. So maybe thinking this Master Yi is some sort of funnel here, but also just want to probably be able to answer anything. We will have Akron's draft be rounded out by a Yorick here. So quite an interesting draft, particularly from Akron. Emerson doing a little bit more of standard play / answering that first Master Yi pick on the side of Akron with sort of that one wild card pick, I would say, being the Aurelion Sol. Although does kind of fit the idea of wanting to potentially keep this Yi down in the early game, as Sejuani should have the jungle advantage, and Aurelion Sol will guarantee mid lane priority for Emerson College. Even against this Oriana, definitely much easier for him to push in the early game when this Ori will struggle for mana before going back to get her lost chapter and any completed items. Am interested to see how this Yorick functions into Mordekaiser in this top lane based on the team comps. I do imagine that these two will mostly be left on an island. Master Yi just going to want to clear and power farm. Sejuani going to want to disrupt, but will mostly rely on her Aurelion Sol. So I can see this Yorick and Mordekaiser kind of being left to duke it out in top lane. And I personally am not really familiar with how this matchup goes when played well. So we'll be interested to see a very heavy pushing champion versus someone who absorbs pushing and pressure pretty well in the Mordekaiser there. So quite an interesting matchup on the top side. Meanwhile, on that bottom side, quite interesting with that Bard Jhin. Jhin, a champion that usually can survive on his own in the bottom lane, which would allow Bard to roam, but that's sort of not the case against Caitlyn, someone who's had her base AD buffed and is quickly rising in priority as a kind of big name AD carry here, really pushing out the damage and the pressure in that bot lane. And Jhin, a champion that will struggle with her just a little bit of extra range alongside the Lulu. So I do see this as being a tough lane for this Jhin Bard, particularly if the Bard wants to sort of ditch lane and help Master Yi power farm through his jungle. So a lot to be asked for some of the members of Akron Impact, but we will see if they are able to make this comp work. And I think to make this comp work, they are going to have to keep that Yi at least even, if not ahead, so that he can try to run over some of these mid to late game team fights. As we see the kind of picks and bans coming through here after our pro draft, players are getting ready here, just about 2 more picks before we will get into our caster break. But do see this one again, as I mentioned, this is not a draft that I have seen very often. A little bit hard to predict how this one will go, but if you do want to look at how the game sort of should play out from the side of both teams, Akron's going to want to farm up and use any sort of prio they have with this Bard and hopefully with the Oriana to create safety for Yi to farm up his jungle, get to level 6, get to a strong team fighting position. And Emerson College is going to want to do everything they can to disrupt him in the early game, invade his jungle, use this Aurelion Sol priority, and then in team fights, make sure this Lulu is there and the Sejuani is there to CC this Yi, because really outside of the Yi, not a ton of consistent damage. Oriana and Jhin can certainly provide some burst, but I think you can easily CC this Yi down if you play it correctly. So we'll be looking for those types of plays in these team fights, and we'll see which team will be able to execute on their composition in this first game of our first set of playoff games in IOSC in this best of 3. We will be back after this caster break for game 1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are returning from our caster break, and we are getting into game one of this best of three series in Iowa League of Legends Division C, the first round of playoff games, as we are here tonight with Emerson College on the blue side, Akron Impact on the red side, and we have a fascinating draft from Akron Impact here, centered around this first pick Master Yi, the solo queue menace, but not something we typically see in competitive play, and we will see how that operates. But currently we've got a 5-man stack here from Emerson roaming up towards bot lane. There are 3 members here. They're going to come in and they're going to catch the Yi right away, and he's just going to go down. He flashed over the wall, but they're going to follow. 2 flashes to follow. We'll see if they can get an auto here. Oh, they actually cannot. And Mr. Cookie actually escapes with his life there. A little surprised that a third member, maybe the AD carry, Cobalt, did not follow there. Someone with range to get those last couple autos, but 1 flash for 2 flash, and Mr. Cookie can call Worth in chat. Despite getting jumped on there by Emerson College, will be able to just go back to his buff and should be able to clear that freely. Avoiding what would have been a disastrous start there for what looks to be one of the focal points of this composition for Akron Impact. Yi, definitely a champion that needs to farm freely, that needs to power farm to get to his item spikes so that he can run around in team fights like we've all seen him do in solo queue. So starting slow, not ever going to be a good thing for a Yi, especially against all the CC that this Emerson College team was able to draft after seeing that first pick Yi, which, you know, to me, if I'm playing in this game, that's basically like a slap in the face. That's a knight throwing down the gloves, slapping me in the face, challenging me to a duel. First pick Yi, eh? No, that's probably why you see this Lulu for Kate here with that point quick CC, as we see lanes starting up here as the minions will get into their position. We see standard clears coming out here from the junglers. Yi with a full top side clear here, and Sejuani going to finish up on her Raptor camp and then move to the top side. So nothing doing there. Farming here with a little bit of push from the York, as you would expect from that champion, particularly in the early levels. There's pressure being applied by Elevator Musician into mid lane. A little bit of poke coming out here, but Asaminator, will level up. That will help him win that trade. As here's a level 3. Oh, gonna get pulled under turn here, actually. Will tank 1 shot. And is lucky to get away from Cheez-It Man because of that wall put down by the Yorick. Think if that wall had not been there, Cheez-It Man probably wouldn't have been able to flash follow that and finish off Bobby Joe Green. But as it is, pretty even trade. As some more trading going down in mid lane here. Some nice pressure coming out from Elevator Musician, as he will push Asaminator. I'm going to struggle with that name a couple times tonight. Back towards his turret and continue this pressure. You can see Sejuani up here for gank, but will be spotted on this ward and will get hit by the E, but actually going to go back in onto Bobby Joe Green. Will have a nice wall there to peel off that Sejuani. So pretty well played with the Dark Procession, but here's Aurelion Sol will not connect with that stun, and Bobby Joe Green absorbing some early pressure here, but Oriana flashing in, and Asaminator is going to get first blood as he finds Zephyrus trying to get back into his jungle, and not a whole lot of mana on Elevator Musician. He's going to be forced to retreat the long way here, and a great follow from Asaminator, or saying Asaminator. Asaminator? We'll say Asaminator. From Asaminator is going to pick up that first blood, and will allow him to push this wave into the turret. A great start, actually, for Akron Impact. He's been able to farm freely and will probably double scuttle Sejuani here. Does still have his mid laner in his pocket unless Asaminator is going to back. So a nice early game for the Yi with free farm, while Sejuani fails a gank and does die for first blood. Trading coming out here from the Emerson College bot side, probably going to force this Bard back pretty soon. Just a little more poke should do it. You can see S-Stock also pretty low on mana, not a whole lot left to clear this wave. Does level up there, so we'll get one more there on the queue. They are being pushed in, and they know both sides really know they're not going to get any help early from this Yi, who is just power farming. Already level 5, though, going into his first back. Good stuff coming out from Akron Impact. Exactly what they would have wanted to see. There's an E connecting from Cheez-It Man. Going to get locked in place by the Dark Procession. Good shield to nullify some of the damage. A little bit low on mana. Does want to try to break the freeze that Cheez-It Man has here, but probably not going to be able to with that mana. So we'll be forced back here. Coming out from Emerson's bot lane. Again, Estoc really low on mana. Is still even on CS pretty much, so doing a pretty good job there, but is in a tough position here, as it looks like Blue Metal going to try to come around for some sort of play here. I don't know if this is the best idea with Estoc with such little mana. Very easy to just get CC'd and run down by this Caitlyn. But we'll just maybe find a meep and back off there. As Yi again in the pocket here, moving up. Still only level 5, so no ultimate. Controller over the wall, and will run into this Sejuani here probably. Nope, just going to be seen on vision. Zephyrus only level 4, probably does not want to mess with Mr. Cookie right now. Going to place a control word onto this Drake. Move back towards his blue buff. You can see a reset coming here from Cheez-It Man, and this has allowed Bobby Joe Green to actually set up a freeze now in the top lane. We'll have to clear this wave out a little bit to get that, but shouldn't have any problems doing it, and is level 6. Both top laners now level 6. You see both mid laners also with their ultimates now. Laners starting to approach that position. Caitlyn just about halfway to level 6. So big abilities coming online for most of the players here in this game, something that I think in particular Akron will be happy with, getting access to that Orianna ult, as well as Yi's ultimate, as he has started up the Drake here. Does have that control word in Sejuani's top side, and I think he might just get this for free. Bot lane pressure's pretty even. They can't really check it, and yeah, I think he is just probably wanting to take this one for free and be able to back out. Will do, and nicely done by Mr. Cookie, who continues to have a very nice early game for himself. Doing exactly what you would want on this E, just power farming away. Nothing too bad happening in any of his lanes, which are mostly even, if not ahead. A little duel here on top side. Looks like it might be an all-in. Yep, Mordekaiser will go down, but he's going to get caught by the Dark Procession. Bobby Joe Green is still locked in the Death Realm. Cheez-It Man's passive is up. He's doing a ton of damage to Bobby Joe Green. Bobby Joe Green flashing away. Going to get auto. He's being ticked down, and he's going to go down. Cheez-It Man with the solo kill in top lane. And Bobby Joe Green, I don't know if he popped the Maiden. Like he didn't. I'm a little surprised there. I mean, Yorick popping the Maiden Eulogy of the Isles there is a lot for your dueling damage there. And I don't know if he thought it would just take too long, or maybe you can't do it in the Death Realm. I can't imagine why you wouldn't be able to, but does not pop his ultimate. And as a result, Cheez-It Man just has a lot more damage and utility, able to get out of that Dark Procession and run Bobby Joe Green down. He has now popped the Maiden. Will be looking to use it for some pressure. Gets a nice Q down after teleporting back to lane. Does now have his Sheen, so will be a tough spot here for Cheez-It Man, who is going to be forced back, but does have teleport and should be able to just get back up here to clear this wave. As Bard roaming into mid lane here, going to get Elevated Musician caught by the Orianna ultimate. Doesn't quite take all enough damage, and his ultimate will force her back along with the turret shot. So decent roam by Blue Metal will force the flash out of Elevated Musician, but he does survive through Awesominator's ultimate. Pretty nicely done there. As you can see, teleport coming up here, and Zephyrus is here. Comes Dark Procession, does a nice job slowing down Zephyrus. We're going to flash on him to get the passive. Will pop that passive. Here comes the ultimate. Now pulled back by Cheez-It Man. Going down very quickly. Zephyrus going to kite out here. Bobby Joe Green going into the alcove. Does do some nice vision plays here, but is still getting chunked down and will be taken down by Cheez-It Man for his second kill. A nice gank there by Zephyrus, punishing this overextended Yorick. Stuff from Emerson College to reduce this deficit they built up for themselves in the early game. But again, this Yi still farming freely. Now it's 67 CS. Multiple camps ahead of Sejuani, 2.5 camps ahead and still farming freely. Really has not been disrupted, and really only one lane in a tough spot here. So he's hovering around mid, knows that Elevator Musician is flashless, but Elevator Musician, not sure if he was spotted, but is playing safe, respecting the fact that both bot lane is missing, that jungler could be there, and the Akron bot lane is missing. So decent pings there from Emerson College's bot lane as they set up a freeze here, which is pretty solid for this lane, I would say, as Caitlyn has some really good poke and rundown potential alongside this Lulu, and a little bit tough for someone like Bard to step up and try to break it. You can see Cookie on his Gromp here, so is on that bot side. There's a little bit of pressure in mid lane from Elevator Musician, but just shielded away by Awesominator. Hovering around bot side. Spotted yet. I don't have Observer Vision on, but I'm not sure if that controller could see her. Might have been able to because the bot lane is playing very safe here for Akron, but do step up. We'll lose Guardian. And nice auto will force Zephyrs out of the bush, but a great ultimate from Blue Metal will catch all three members of Emerson College there, and that gank will end in disappointment. Top side, York pushing this wave back into the turret. You can see because of the jungler showing bot side, Mr. Cookie has moved up and has started the Rift Herald. Does have pressure from his Yorick on Bobby Joe Green there, and Aurelion Sol also bot side, now getting a stun down on Orianna, but not doing really enough damage. Misses the ultimate. Orianna does flash away from Zephyr's charge, but will survive with half health, and all the time used in mid lane will allow this Rift to go down, and now Cheese Man in a little bit of trouble here in a 2v1, going to ult Bobby Joe Green. Probably the right target considering how far ahead he is. Will take down the Dark Procession. Nice Q, will connect. Passive not quite up. Now going to come up, but will get taken down by Mr. Cookie. Bobby Joe Green does survive with about a quarter of his HP. The mid laner is here, and they will force Emerson College back through their jungle. So well done again by Mr. Cookie and the rest of his team, setting up some priority there. Taking, and a great ultimate here from Awesominator. Will catch Elevator Musician, does get stunned. The Ignite is ticking, and it will take Elevator Musician down. Just as the Rift Herald gets a charge into mid lane, and now Zephyr's going to be forced to clear this, but he's going to go right back in on this Awesominator. He knows he doesn't have his ultimate. Does immune the passage with his stopwatch, but the ultimate's still up, and just going to get run down by that Sejuani. Really nicely done by Zephyrus to take advantage of the lack of ultimate on that Orianna and make up for that death on Elevator Musician. Will also be able to clean up most of the wave, but things still really going in the favor of Akron Impact here. This Yi is now 0-0-1 after helping with that kill onto Cheez-It Man. Has taken the Rift Herald and the first two Drakes, has 92 CS, and really just has not been slowed down at all in this game. And that is something you love to see after taking that first pick in your draft for Akron Impact. It's calming down a little bit as turret plating is going to fall here soon. We can see first items coming through for a lot of these champions. You can see a Storm Razor on Caitlyn and an Eye Edge onto Jhin now completed. A little interesting on the Storm Razor start there for Caitlyn. Does really help with her trading, but definitely a little lacking in the pure damage space. Caitlyn always been known to be a weak mid-game champion, so maybe just looking to have a little bit more utility in her kit. As Maiden drop top lane will create some pressure onto Cheez-It Man. In this bush, you are going to land the E and come out. The Maiden's still doing a lot of damage. A little bit hard for Cheez-It Man to clear this. Will finally land his E and take down the Maiden. So Bobby Joe Green now ultless. In the bush is on Vision. Not sure if he will be stopped. Nope, Cheez-It Man will just elect to take the creep. As see some normal trading still happening in mid lane here, but the Awesominator definitely getting the better of the game so far, as it has survived the early pressure and roaming potential from this Aurelion Sol, and Orianna just becomes a better and better champion as the game goes on. So definitely a great position for Awesominator here, as bot lane pushing in, and there has been some pressure from Emerson College's ultimate comes out here from Blue Metal. Will connect on Caitlyn, but his Q is a little bit too early. Mistimes that ability. Will not get the stun. Caitlyn flashed away. They're now going to turn back. Getting some autos down on the Blue Metal. He will portal away. Jin taking some damage. He's taking a lot of nice headshot there from Cobalt. And a nice trade won by this Emerson bot lane. Was just about to comment on how nicely Estoc has stayed even ahead in this farm game despite the pressure put out by Emerson. But they do lose that trade there after Blue Metal kind of failing the timing on his stun. Will allow Caitlyn to flash and put a lot of damage back. You can see Yi still just content to farm away here. Now sitting at 120 CS. Finishing up, I think, 224. Yep. That's a scary. He does have his Skirmisher Saber Blood Razor completed. Looks like he's working on a Rage Blade here, and that's going to be a scary champion on his 2-item spike. So Elevator Musician's out of mana here, going to get connected by the Orianna Ultimate. Going to drop the Ignite, but he's just going to go down. And no mana there on Elevator Musician. Awesominator sees the opportunity, hits the ultimate, and takes him down. So another kill for Awesominator. Now 3-1 on this Orianna. And things are only getting worse as we have more engage on the top side. Cheez It Man has Bobby Joe Green in the death room, has flashed over his wall and will take him down again. That is the third solo kill onto Bobby Joe Green for Cheez It Man. As we have more on the bot side. There is stuff going all over the place as Zephyrus finds Blue Metal roaming into River. I don't know if he's looking for vision or meeps, and the bot lane collapses and they're able to take him down. So chaos happening all over the map here as Akron winning in mid lane but losing in both of the side lanes. And that will give some prio and vision around this third Drake, which is coming up in just 43 seconds. That's something that Emerson College is going to want to take away from Akron here. Oh boy, and even more chaos as Mr. Cookie sneaks into top lane as Cheez It Man is trying to push in the wave and reset. Just comes around, uses the ultimate and runs him down, picks up his first kill of the game. Now this Yi on 134 CS, a kill, and has picked up that Rage Blade. I would imagine he's going to run straight down to this Dragon, which now may be uncontestable for Emerson College with that top laner down. Still 13 seconds on the respawn. Does have teleport, but they are really not in position to contest. They've given up a ton of vision. You can see red wards all around this third Drake for Akron Impact, two even behind the pit. The Maiden is up, and Yi is really strong. Here does come the teleport from Cheez It Man, but no ultimate on him, and a great Bard ultimate will catch 3. Orianna ult is flashed away from by Kate, but not by Cobalt, who will go down. Polymorph on the Yi. He has started to try to go into Kate. Great stun from Zhwani, though, and they will take him down. Get the shut down, but Bobby Joe Green going to chase down Elevator Musician after a great stun from the Jin, and Cheez It Man has no ult, and he is just going to go down here for sure. Will try to take Blue Metal with him, but will not be able to, and that's a double kill for Bobby Joe Green. A one-team fight for Akron Impact, and this should be the third Drake, although their jungler is down and Zephyrus is up. I'm not sure if his smite is active. It is. This is extremely risky from Akron Impact. This is a pretty easy smite, even with that fourth shot on Estoc. I think this should be a pretty easy steal for Zephyrus, but he's taking his time, going around the side, and they're just going to burst it down. Taken by Akron Impact, and I really think that was a mistake there from Zephyrus. I think he thought he had more time to maybe get around the side and get some vision on that Drake, instead of just going over the back of the wall. And by the time he starts walking around the side, Akron just bursts that one down. So even without their jungler, they're able to take the team fight and that ensuing Drake, and now they are on soul point already. This Yi is still 2-1-2 despite a well-played team fight from, as I mentioned, both Zephyrus and the two champions really picked to counter this Yi doing their jobs. It still results in a net loss, and Yi gonna pick up this second Rift Herald for free. And this is really just sort of a snowball game for him. We'll see how he can operate in these later team fights, but right now, just a terror. 138 CS has picked up every neutral objective on the map thus far, and that's just a bad sign for this Emerson College team, who do come into this game as the favorites in the 3 seed, but are getting handled right now, sitting at about a 2K gold deficit. And I don't see that one getting better at any time soon. As again, this Orianna only going to get stronger than Elevator Musician, who's getting jumped on by Blue Metal right now. Doesn't quite land the stun, but wow, a weird flash from Elevator Musician, and he's going to get ulted by Orianna. Just going to get autoed to death by Awesominator. And I think that was a misclick on the end of the day from Elevator Musician as he flashed back towards the Bard, who had already thrown out his Cosmic Binding and had failed to land the stun. So a little bit of a struggle here from Elevator Musician, now sitting at 0-4-1, and this game is only going to get harder and harder for him. See Bobby Joe Green coming in here, trying to disrupt Zephyrus. Zephyrus will just smite his blue buff and walk away, but he's going to get jumped on actually by the rest of the team, and a great Dark Procession from Bobby Joe Green will allow Mr. Cookie to pick up the kill. He's going in onto Kate, but will get ulted. Will take her down, but will fall to Cobalt's Caitlyn. Caitlyn now being jumped on by Bobby Joe Green will be forced to flash back to safety as the Maiden and the Rift Herald coming in to take the turret, trying to take turret. Here's an ultimate from, oh, Awesominator just blows up Cobalt, going in on the Cheez-It Man, trying to let him down. Needs one more, will pick up the double kill. Guardian will immune a turret shot, and Awesominator is just dominating this game right now. 7-1-4 on the Orianna with the completed Seraph's Embrace. This is one strong champion, and Awesominator is absolutely wrecking Emerson College right now. To see, we've been talking about it for most of the game here, that this Orianna is just so much better as the game goes on, so much easier to operate than the Aurelion Soul, which really picked for early game pressure. You can see it there, grabbing a great ultimate onto Cobalt there, who had escaped the initial engage, and finishing her off with that W. Able to take the 80 carry down, and then completely unafraid, very powerful, following Cheez-It Man under the turret to pick him up with her passive autos, increasing her damage every time. And Kate might get caught out here. Not quite with Blue Metal's ultimate. Pretty nice sidestep there from Kate. Will get her out to safety, but yes, some nice play from a lot of the members of Akron Impact here in general, but in particular, Awesominator on this Orianna, just absolutely dominating. Now 7-1-4. Completed Seraph's, completed Merlinomicon. Looks like he is heading for a death cap and will be absolutely terrifying as this game progresses. Across the rest of the team, you can see the Jhin now in the advantage with 2 items against this Caitlyn, who has been slowed down a bit by being forced to group with her team and being denied CS only on the Stormrazor BF sword. And not somewhere you want to be with a weak mid-game champion like Caitlyn. Do want to see her on 3-4 items. Sejuani does have her Warmogs and Cinderhulk, so is tanky, but not a whole lot in the damage category here for Emerson College with this Aurelion Soul only on Rod of Ages, nothing more, and going to be really hard for them to run down a lot of these champions if Cobalt is not able to just free fire. This 4th Drake now coming up in 14 seconds. The team starting to gather around it, although Estoc is way up in top lane alone, but given a chance to come back. Here's another great ultimate from Blue Metal, going to catch 3. He's going to flash in. The Orianna ultimate only connects onto 1, but they are following up into an Elevator Musician. Bobby Joe Green is in the front line, getting jumped on. Awesominator is getting ultimate by Cheez-It Man. Looks like Cookie is in. Estoc's going to take down Cobalt. This is a bad fight for Emerson. It looks like Mr. Cookie is free to attack here. Will take down Zephyrus. Kate going to go down to Estoc. That is a 3-for-0, a 4-for-0, an ace, a clean ace from Akron Impact. They will pick up the Baron, and they should be able to reset for a final push here. They are so far ahead, 10.5K gold, and this one looks like it is all but over as they're going to walk down. Sorry, instead of recalling, they're going to walk down and pick up Dragon or Infernal Soul as well. So now with Baron, with Infernal Soul, with a 10.5, almost 11K gold lead, they are just going to back. And as I mentioned, they should just run this one down and end this game with very little worries. In fact, Bobby Joe Green already in the upper ends of mid lane with his Maiden. backing here, really, from the side of Akron Impact. They're picking up camps and as much farm as they can. Actually, a little split here. Zephyrus and Kate coming around the side, but engage onto Awesominator. Awesominator looking at Kate with no fear. She's going to polymorph. In comes Zephyrus. Will get the Chilling Smite down. Awesominator, great shockwave onto Kate, but will get CC'd and taken down by Cobalt. Pretty aggressive positioning there from Awesominator, strong as he is, was all alone and just got flanked and CC'd. But now a lot of the CC unavailable for as Cookie hitting turret, but he's going to be forced to use his heal already. And wow, just gets shut down by Cobalt. Some huge mistakes coming out here from Akron Impact. In their Baron push, they did not recall to pick up any of their items after taking down the Infernal Soul. They were caught split without good vision in the topside jungle. And here's a flash ultimate from Zephyrus. Will get flashed by Estoc. Now he's trying to kite them down, but not quite enough. Will ult to look to take down Cheez-It Man, but Zephyrus just going to step in the way of those bullets pretty easily. Does have the Warmogs and will heal up, but yeah, some very big mistakes from Akron Impact in setting up their push. And Zephyrus going in here on the Bobby Joe Green. Teleport coming in from, I believe, oh my, just burst by the Jhin. And now the Jhin is free firing onto Kate. Kate forced the ultimate, still goes down to Bobby Joe Green. Awesominator is back into the fight, trying to speed up Estoc, who's really strong. Bursting through Elevated Musicians, Banshee's Veil there, and the W connects onto Cobalt. Will take her down, continue to advance, gets the fourth shot onto Elevated Musicians. Not quite enough, but will force him into the fountain, and this should be the end of the game. Despite some mistakes there in their Baron push setup, oh, Awesominator, so strong, taking down Cheez-It Man with that ultimate, and the W there, Command Dissonance, and Akron Impact will upset Emerson to win game one of this best of three. As we take a look at the damage charts here following the first game, we can see some nice distribution coming out from the side of Akron Impact with the Orianna there. Awesominator leading the way. Absolutely monstrous game from him. Really only one mistake the entire game, overextending after that Baron push and getting taken down, but able to teleport back into the fight and just help Estoc on this Jhin run everybody down in that final team fight. With that 11-12k gold lead they had, able to just sort of hit Emerson over the head with their wallets. And despite a valiant effort put up from Emerson and Cobalt there with 12,000 damage, they are unable to hold off the onslaught of this Yi first pick draft from Akron Impact, who will look to close out the series in the second game when we come back from this break. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game 2 of this best of 3 series in the IOC League of Legends division. Our first playoff series here for GG Leagues between Akron Impact and Emerson College, coming off of that big Akron Impact win in game number 1 with the draft centered around that Yi first pick, but ultimately carried by Awesominator on his Orianna in the mid lane. So Akron coming up with that sort of upset victory as they came in as the 6 seed to Emerson College's 3 seed in game 1. We will see what Emerson College can come up with to try to turn it around and get this series 2 silver scrapes and see if they can get past this Akron Impact team in game number 2, as bans coming through here look exactly the same as game number 1, with the exception of that Master Yi taken off the table. I'm not even sure that was the problem, although I think if the game had gone on long enough, it would certainly have become a serious problem. Master Yi was able to farm freely for most of the early game, was sitting around 140, 145 CS at the end of that game, and certainly would have been a massive issue if Awesominator were not already so strong in game number 1. So we do see that Yi banned away, so they cannot repeat that. But every other ban the same, and Akron Impact going to change it up a little bit here with a Senna first pick coming out, and that should shape the rest of the draft. Senna, a champion that thrives in fairly specific situations, particularly with a bruiser or tankier champion alongside her in the bot lane, and some picks that can sort of fight in more extended team fights where she can continue to get value out of her W and Q, the W root and the Q heal there. So should be interesting to see how Akron is drafting around this one, and Emerson going to turn around and take away the Jhin from Escott there. Don't want to face that one either, I suppose, and so instead of banning it, they will just pick it away into the hands of Cobalt. Will pair it with the Morgana to give it a little bit of extra lane pressure, although this Morg could technically be flexed to mid lane, but don't see it too often when Morg is first picked, in particular as a pretty counterable champion in her own right as a mid laner, usually picked as a counter into something like LeBlanc or Zed with some shorter to mid range blinks that can easily be countered by the Q and ultimate from that Morgana. But Amumu going to come out here. Someone that definitely fits the theme you would like to see from a Senna composition, and followed up by the Swain. So Akron potentially picking comfort, but also picking to that Senna pick for sure. Amumu and Swain, 2 champions that can definitely frontline, that both do really appreciate heals and the utility that will come out from this Senna. Not sure where the Swain will end up. Could definitely be a top lane Swain, could also be that support Swain. Either would probably be just fine into this draft, although Swain's impact in the bot lane will probably be a little bit mitigated by this Morgana, though you can play around that Black Shield. And we do see a Zac round out the first round of picks for Emerson College, so nice scaling jungler there, and a pretty solid pick after seeing that Amumu come out. Amumu definitely not a champion that typically is able to bully Zac around as much in the early game, as opposed to something like an Olaf, even something like a Sejuani. So definitely a little bit safer for that Zac to exist and farm up in his jungle. So we see 2 mid lane bans to pinch Awesominator's pool from Emerson College, and after that dominating game 1 on the Orianna, will have that one taken away from him in the second round of bans. We see an Urgot ban come out here. Potentially don't like the comfort of Cheez It Man on that pick. Also something that can really ruin the Senna's life with a well-placed ultimate. And the Vigar pick gonna come in, or Vigar ban gonna come in here, and Emerson gonna quickly go to that Aatrox in the top lane. A pretty safe blind pick in general. Most top laners familiar with him after 2.5 years in meta play, both in solo queue and competitive. Top lane should this Swain bot laner, so pretty solid first pick there of the second round for Emerson. Will allow them to save their mid lane counter pick for what will be an Ahri. An Ahri in the mid lane, as we mentioned, was banned away last game in favor of the Orianna, which ended up punishing Emerson College. Is not banned this game, so must be a comfort champion for Awesominator, and he's going to be able to pick that one up Will not quite have the team fight impact of this Orianna, but of course does have some very good pick potential, whether you're playing a full burst build or the slow build with the Hextech GLP and the Twin Shadows on the Spooky Ghost. And we will have a Camille rounding out this composition for Akron Impact, which does send Swain into the bottom lane. That Camille is a bit more problematic for Aatrox than the Swain would be. Can definitely fight that one out on his own if he can't hit his sweet spots, but a tougher matchup overall. Although Camille maybe not quite the pick you would normally see with the Senna composition, someone who wants to side lane, wants to create a ton of pressure, as a Zoe finishes out the composition here for Emerson College. So we do see two interesting comps, a little bit more standard, I would say, than the last game, particularly from Emerson, with scaling jungler, solid top lane blind, and mid lane blind pick. Although Zoe good into the Ahri with a lot of range, is a little bit dangerous to use Zoe's ultimate into the Ahri if the Ahri ult is up, as Ahri can easily dash onto that Zoe portal as she comes back, charm her up and burst her down. But good long range engage and poke on the side of Emerson here, and some consistent damage from Aatrox. A little bit interesting from Akron, as we do have a lot of picks that really like the Senna with the Amumu and the Swain, and even the Ahri can get the speed ups necessary to chase down some champions on the enemy team. You could even make the same argument for Camille, but Camille definitely someone who wants to exist more on her own in a side lane and either collapse onto team fights or teleport into odd man situations. So not someone who really wants to group as you typically want to see when you have a Senna composition. So we'll see how they do manage to play around that sort of apparent, anti-synergy, although I wouldn't necessarily say it's anti-synergy on the whole. Camille still can team fight well, just maybe not completely synergistic ideas on those two champions. Interesting matchups as a whole. We will see now Zoe. I think a little bit of a better matchup here overall for Elevator Musician here. This Zoe should be able to exist a little bit better against this Ahri. Definitely a more solid all-around champion throughout the game than Aurelion Sol. So we'll have a less specific win and play condition for Elevator Musician, and we'll see if that allows him to create some pressure that his team can use to turn this series around, as they need to pick up this win to avoid losing in a best of three here in 2 games to Akron and falling out of this playoff bracket in round number 1. I can see the teams now showing their giraffes here as they're finishing up second ban phase. So we'll kind of go out on a limb here and well, not a limb here, but kind of see how this game wants to play out. I think both teams want to have a little bit of scaling. Zach, someone who can make some early ganks, but typically wants to farm up his jungle just to get the strength of items, less so than access to ganks. Is a little bit squishy without a couple of tank items on him. Amumu is someone who does really appreciate his ultimate to run down kills, so should be a slower early game from these junglers. We will see the Camille probably putting some pressure onto this Aatrox in the top lane, whereas in bot lane should see some pressure, I would imagine, from the Jhin Morgana if played well around that Swain E. If you don't get hit by that Swain E on the Never Move, should be able to step up and pressure these two champions, and we'll see how that plays out into mid-game team fights. I can see both of these compositions have very clear win conditions, can both team fight, can both split push a little bit, and should be interesting to see which one comes out on top. But that will wrap it up for our second champion select. We will come back to you after this broadcaster break. and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second game of this best of three between Akron Impact on the blue side and Emerson College on the red side here. Akron taking game one in this best of three series, looking to close it out here in game two as Estoc immediately disconnects, and we will have a pause. Bombs issue on the side of Akron Impact here. They're going to take a second to fix it. Looks like it should be a short-ish fix here. We are in the first round of playoffs here for the Iowa C League of Legends division. And we are into the second game here between Akron and Emerson. Akron taking that first game behind a great performance from Awesominator on the Orion, as well as a nice jungle performance from a first pick Yi on Mr. Cookie. They are going to look to turn around in game two with this Senna pick, which was their focus this time with the first pick onto Estoc. Estoc has now reconnected. Ours in the chat. Looks like we may be resuming here in the next couple seconds. Yeah, with this Senna composition, Awesominator now on an Ari pick that was banned in game number one, up against a little bit more of a standard composition for the side of Emerson as well. You see the Zoe now in Elevator Musician's hands as we are getting back into gameplay here. Instead of that Aurelion Soul again a champion with a very narrow win condition. Looks like Emerson going to do the same 5-man stack bot lane here. See if they can sneak in and catch someone. Blue Metal here sitting in the tri-brush. Will spot this ward being placed. Will still get hit by the Q and rooted by the Jin W and jumped on by Cheese It Man. And this time, unlike game one, there is no escape. And Emerson will find their early game cheese. Blue Metal did not flash, so will have both of his summoner spells. We did lose a heal. Interesting that Cobalt actually pinging the heal on Estoc, but Estoc did not use that heal. That summoner is still up. We did get the ignite off Kate. That first blood collected by Zephyrus on the Zac will be nice for him. Should be able to shorten or at least to benefit his jungle clear here, as he will be able to get to some of those item breakpoints a little bit quicker, but otherwise will not affect the rest of the map state. Everyone should have time to get back to their positions and farm the jungle camps. And again, no summoner spells actually used on the side of Akron Impact there, so we'll still have a fairly standard lane as they will again walk over this ward that was placed in that pick of Blue Metal. Zoom as we can see the Zac being a normal blue side clear here, although did not really do any sort of two camp clears there. Did not sort of not sure he has his Q though, so can't really connect the Gromp and the blue buff yet. Coming out from Cobalt with the range of that Jin. Does have a W level 1, so will not have the poke of that dancing grenade on the Q. Is going on here in mid lane and top lane. They're dancing back and forth here. A couple good trades going the way of Bobby Joe Green. Of course, Camille with that passive shield in these trades. It does typically come out unless well played by a top laner. Does it level 2 and go in. Will connect with the E. Cheese Man will get a little bit of health back with that passive proc on the auto, but so far so good for Bobby Joe Green, using the advantage of this Camille hook shot as well as his passive shield to win some of these early trades and create a decent health gap here onto Cheez It Man. Junglers are still normally clearing. As we mentioned, these two junglers are much slower in tempo than most junglers we see. Definitely a little bit slower than the Sejuani we saw last game. Both of them much more in the pace of the Yi. Would like to get to 6. Zac with probably a little more agency in the early game, as he can gank from any angle, but just not very tanky. Is Mr. Cookie going to check into top lane here as Camille is putting some pressure on, but he does have double bust, but it's pretty low. A little bit of a risky gank there. We'll just retreat back to his Scuttle Crab and should take this one for free. Zephyr's going to move down to bot side, probably to pick up this Scuttle Crab as well, and keep some pressure on his bot side here, who have pushed all the way up to Turtle. The lane is frozen. Pretty even farm on both sides, and Cobalt very low on mana. So we have a gank in mid lane now. Charmed is Elevator Musician, gonna get jumped on by Mr. Cookie with the Q. Will get ignited, but will flash away. And we'll be able to live, and this is kind of how I mentioned about Amumu. Does like that level 6. Not necessarily because he can't gank, but just because he doesn't typically have the utility or staying power, and not the damage yet at level 3 to really take someone down. As we can see there, does connect with Elevator Musician, but really no damage to even get him within range of death. So does like that level 6 to really lock down targets, whereas Zach can CC people for a little bit longer. But again, neither one of them super tanky without items, so we'll just want to farm mostly and get to some of those breakpoints. So putting out some pressure here. Cheez It Man with a nice connection. We'll connect here, and we'll connect with the Q3. Nice chains, and here comes a gank from Zephyrus. They're going to find the Camille. She has a nice hookshot, flashes out, but going to be followed by Zephyrus. Q connects, and Cheez It Man will pick up Bobby Joe Green for the second kill of the game here. A nice timed gank by Zephyrus. Finds the Camille all the way under the turret. Cheez It Man with enough health to wait out some of those abilities used onto Zephyrus, and then follows up and is donated the kill by his generous jungler. And that will set up a pretty nice lane state here for Cheez It Man. You can see the Executioner's Calling picked up by Camille to try to win out on some of these trades against the Aatrox, whose kit is mostly healing, but a very nice start here for Emerson College as opposed to game 1. They started much, much slower already with 2 Elitas. Charm connects here in mid lane. Will get exhausted and drowsied as Elevator Musician just going to retreat. A little bit slow on his Q, or potentially afraid of Arian. Will not throw that one out and will simply reset. Much here. We do see a cannon wave in mid lane as bot laners have backed for the side of Akron Impact here. A stock gonna pick up looks to be a pickaxe. Or first item, pickaxe. I'm probably building into a Manamune, I would guess, but we will find out with some of the itemization later. On this wave here, as the junglers have returned to farming. First dragon is up. It is a Cloud Drake, but don't think anyone's really going to be grouping around that one for another minute or 2 at the very least. Handling her first back. Cobalt going to try to clear out the rest of this wave. Still has not been able to back. Would like to do so to match stats here. See if Blue Metal, I think Blue Metal saw him go into that bush. Should have a W. May be able to cancel this back. Out, and Jin will be able to go back to base. We'll pick up a BF sword. So favorable back timer there for the Jin. Does get the item every Jin wants to have with that BF sword. We'll get the 45 attack damage to the pickaxe longsword on Senna for 35. So slight damage advantage there for the Jin in the early game. Kate does not connect. The W from Senna does. That stuck winning the skill shot battle there. As again, as we mentioned, not a ton happening around the map. These junglers pretty content to try to get to their level 6s. You can see Zephyrus and Mr. Cookie now level 5. Mr. Cookie taking the second Scuttle Crab, probably just 1 camp away from level 6s. Zephyrus now hovering bot lane. He's probably 2 camps away from hitting 6 here, but considering going over with this Blast Cone and trying to gank, although Estoc and Blue Metal not quite pushed up far enough yet. I don't think he's spotted on vision. Will be spotted now. He's going to load up here. That's not going to get jumped on. It will be forced to flash. A nice root in there from Blue Metal. Q does connect on Senna, but she's already too close to her turret. And with Zephyrus here on the bot side, you can see Mr. Cookie moving up towards top side, trying to make something happen on the opposite side of the map, but will be spotted out by this Tri-Brush ward from Cheez It Man. Pretty well done by him, knowing he is on the weak side of the map, and will just fake a back. There is now Mr. Cookie moving down towards the mid lane. Will be spotted again by another nice ward from Elevator Musician. Will know he's here despite him waiting. Nothing doing. Pretty good vision from both teams. There's some nice trading here by Cheez It Man in the top lane. Gonna go in with the Q1. Gonna flash in an auto and take down Bobby Joe Green. That's a solo kill in the top lane for Cheez It Man. And despite the CS difference, this is not going well for Bobby Joe Green. Camille, a champion that wants to get ahead, wants to apply pressure, and dying twice, losing that experience lead. will not, and allowing Cheez-It Man to stay even or get close on farm, not what you want to see. And now teleporting back into a really big wave. Does have Hextech Ultimatum, I believe. Still, yes. Will get a back out of Cheez-It Man, but not great for Bobby Joe Green. Will try to keep up that CS lead, but does not want to be dying too many more times, or will just fall behind this Aatrox to a point of no return. As Camille, a very, very snowbally champion. Pressure in the side lane. A nice shield immune there in Q3 as we have Zephyrus hovering mid lane, but will be spotted on this ward. This should be an easy dodge. Yeah, oh, Awesominator actually misses his charm there. Gonna get drowsy. This should be a decent chunk. Nope, looks like Elevator Musician didn't have his Q off cooldown, so nice gank dodge as we've more trading at topside, and another solo kill for Cheez-It Man. Meanwhile, in bot lane, we have Estoc and Blue Metal with assistance from Mr. Cookie taking down both of the bot laners. Here's a Sentinel onto Zach, who's been traded as chaos erupts all over the map. And despite me saying that this was a game where people didn't really want to do a whole lot in the early game, we all of a sudden have action in all three lanes at the same time. Aftermath of all that, due to the double kill, or the kills, going down onto both bot lane members of Emerson there, the first Drake will be picked up by Mr. Cookie and this bottom lane. But yeah, a ton of chaos. Zephyrus doing a nice job here trying to trade this Rift Herald, though he may need a little help. Zach really not going to clear this quickly. Does have a backing mid laner as Senna actually rooted here. Does throw out a root and will not get pressured any further. Looks like they will pick up this Rift Herald with some help from Cheez-It Man. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff coming out. And that 1 minute is Cheez-It Man going in for another engagement with Bobby Joe Green and winning it, getting a third solo kill for himself, or sorry, a second, I believe, as they're going to go up here again, and they should just kill Bobby Joe Green for the 4th time. Does dodge Q1, gets knocked up by Q2, does get the E out, but is going to flash and doesn't get far enough, gets hit by Zephyrus and then hooked by Cheez-It Man, who just walks up and autos him. Great stuff there from Emerson College, absolutely bullying Bobby Joe Green on this Camille, but a pretty poor flash overall by Bobby Joe, not getting far enough away from Zephyrus to get away from that elastic slingshot, gets knocked up by that, and after you get knocked up by the slingshot, it's pretty easy for Cheez-It Man to land, those infernal chains and just take you down. So 4 deaths now from Bobby Joe Green, and the CS lead. It's a long way back into this match for him. As we've said multiple times now, Camille, very snowbally champion and not someone who does well when set behind, which Cheez-It Man and Zephyrus have done to great effect. You see a lead in CS in the mid lane here, and some kills on bot lane. And yes, it was a man immune that this Senna has built. You can see Jin just headed for his eye edge, as most Jins would. But yeah, a big difference kind of opening up in this top lane here, and not one that will bode well for Bobby Joe Green, trying to keep some form of pressure in a side lane as this game goes on.
Yeah, not at all, DJ. By the way, I'm here now. You can rest your voice a little. But yeah, just like you were talking about, this game's been kind of crazy. And look at this topside skirmish. Cheez-It Man just keeps looking for fights, and they've been going his way so far, but Camille using those true damage sheen procs to try and get something back, and still just Aatrox is ahead, and now Zach is there.
That doesn't quite connect on the elastic slingshot, unfortunately, but Cheez-It Man pretty confident in the fact that he does have a level on this Camille, is healing well, even through that Executioner's Calling, and is just a little too strong for her to duel at this point in the game. That pressure point really going in the favor of Emerson College here, and they're going to take down the first turret. And that's a big, big Aatrox. I think someone else might need to get Executioners here pretty quickly, or he might become a serious problem.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy is so greedy right now. He built Merc Treads into a Camille matchup. So much of her damage is on those auto attacks, so negating 10% of it is so important with Tabby. But this guy, he's just beating her so hard that he's like, I'll build for when I have to fight Ari Swain and Amumu. Like, he is so confident, and early buying this Death Stance as well, I really like, because in most of his matchups, he's not going to be needing the Black Cleaver armor shred. So by going Death's Dance, it's just giving him more dueling power in that side lane, more strength against this Camille, somebody who he's already running over. And the farther ahead he gets, the just better the matchup is going to be moving forward. Although Camille is a strong champion later on in the game, if she never gets the gold to match this Aatrox in a side lane, and right as I'm talking about it, Awesomator takes out Zoe and here's some more fights.
Zephrys going to be rooted and taken down here by Mr. Cookie. A Q connects there by Kate, but everyone just a little bit too late to the play. I originally thought Mr. Cookie was going to... Oh, what was that flash?
Who knows?
A little bit of maybe a fear factor flash there from Kate, maybe thinking people were around. I was initially hesitant with Mr. Cookie's vision. As Q lands here, they're going to go all in. We have nice healing on Blue Metal, but a great stopwatch from Kate. Immunes Swain ultimate. He does not get that burst damage out, and she does survive. Estoc still with a good amount of health here will be able to kite his way out, but a nice pick there by the bot lane of Emerson.
Yeah, just when, we were praising the top side of the map, the bot side realized, oh, well, we're a little bit of screen time as well, and a matchup that before that was going pretty well for Senna. I mean, not just getting run down early on by the lane-dominant combination of Jhin Morgana is so good for her, especially if you're not doing funnel, which I'm not entirely sure why they're not, but they're not, and so she's picking up that mana immune, and she just really wants to scale, and she was doing a great job at it, but KXT just comes in with the binding and stops Blue Metal in his tracks.
She does, and if we look at Senna's passive here, looks like she has 23 stacks. Not a ton at this point in the game. She's going to get connected by the Infernal Chain. She's forced to flash here. We have a 3-man engagement, but here's Mr. Cookie. He's going to get knocked in. No ultimate yet on Mr. Cookie. He hasn't thrown it out. It's still on cooldown. She's at man now going in, trying to take him down. We'll connect Q2. A good peel from Senna as we have the Camille on the backside here. Everyone is here now. A root onto Ari. She's going down. Cobalt's going to take her down. Some kiting in the front line here as Cheez It Man is still healing up. Here comes the Jhin ultimate. Gotta look for Mr. Cookie's ultimate. Still not up. Does finally come out. As he connects,
got one more shot.
Just barely live on the backside. Still nobody down for Emerson College. Estoc trying to change that and take down Zephrys, but does not manage to do it. Mr. Cookie just barely survives, but two people going down there for the side of Akron Impact will result in a Drake for Emerson.
What is going on? None of this makes any sense to me. Blue Metal, he just keeps getting caught out, and he's going to Proto Belt, so this guy wants to play aggressive, but if he keeps getting caught out like this before the real fights start, he's just not going to have the staying power that Swain needs to really impact these fights. As well, you need Senna to scale up a little more right now. And,
steal the red buff from Mr.
Poor Cookie! Oh,
that
no!
Is a sad gasp moment if I have ever seen one.
Oh, at least it was to Morgana. She's not going to be auto-attacking that much, but still, not getting those jungle camps when you're already getting out-jungled so heavily by this Zed. Those big buffs are so important, not only for your gold, but for your SP as well. So getting that taken from you by the support, that's just a real feels bad, as we get a little bit of a vision of what's to come as this Zoe is soon going to be finishing up her Lunens, buying that Oblivion Orb, and with this much amount of damage already, she's going to be a threat.
Absolutely. Things going a lot better for Elevator Musician in this game than the last on that Aurelion Soul. It is still 10 CS down on this Ahri, but can provide a ton of damage as you're seeing with that Zoe. And Awesomator not quite having the impact he had last time on the Orianna, banned away from him smartly by Emerson. They're in a pretty strong spot here, up about 3k gold now as they're hovering around this Rift Herald. And, but he can't really do anything. He's 0-5 on this Camille. Like, he's not challenging this Death's Dance 5-kill Aatrox anytime soon.
No, he's nowhere near his Triforce, and he needs that so much, but a Binding lands onto Ahri.
I'm just ticking here. She's just going to go down, pops the potions, and just lives with, like 40 HP. There's a lesson for you. Always pop your potions. As, oh boy, Zephyr's going in to look and see if he can get a smite, but she is already gone, and Smite living will result in a ton of pressure onto this mid lane turret from Cobalt and Kate here, who's starting to hit these binds left and right and creating a ton of chaos for the side of Akron.
Oh no, Zephrys must be caught out here. He can't run from the Camille, and he's just going to fall. He's just going to go into the
passive though. Team's here first. We'll see if Cobalt can get an auto. Oh, great E there to Immune. Oh, and
oh no!
I think he's dead. He's dead. No, A late ult there from Senna. Blue Metal trying to help his team out there. Oh, here's a charm onto the Zoe elevator position. Flashes
It
away,
just doesn't
is
stop.
ignited, but should be fine. Classic Zoe there, stealing, any and all summoner spells and just generally being invincible. But some nice stuff coming out from Emerson College. You can see Zephyrus getting caught out again for the second time, but this time confident in the fact that he has his passive, knows his team is closer to him in mid lane, and they do collapse, and they find Blue Metal trying to rotate as well, and he gets caught out and taken down for the fourth time this game. Still no stopwatch on that Swain, by the way, Leche.
Yeah, that's a real feels bad. I was talking earlier about how this proto bout really signifies that this guy, he wants to go in, right? But when you're 1 and 4 on Swain, you're not going to have a lot of chances to. You need that sticking power. You need that survivability to be able to just, be the disruptive force that we know Swain can be. And with no stopwatch and not looking like he's even going towards it right now, as he's probably going to be finishing up his Merc Treads, it does not bode well so far for the bot lane. But if you are blue side right now, you are pretty happy with how your Senna's looking. She's been in that side lane. She's been stacking up Mana Immune. She has fully finished her Grievous Wounds Last Whisper item. She's going to be able to actually deal some real damage with the current health and armor pen to the front line. But the one issue is so much of this front line is actually not really in Senna's kind of main damage kit. Yeah, she's going to be cutting a lot of their healing, but Zach Aatrox still, I think, are going to be able to get on her with their just massive disruption ability way, way too easily.
I do agree with you there. Senna, a champion that will continue to get better as the game goes on, but still, again, with only 39 absolution stacks, so not too heavy on the range there. And as you mentioned, will make it that much easier for this Zach and this Aatrox to get on top of her, and still with that Mana Immune incomplete, still actually 200 bonus mana stacks away from completing that. Will not be in a powerful position really until that one is completed, compared to this Jhin, who is on eye edge and another BF sword along with his boots.
Yeah, Jhin is incredibly strong right now, and if you are red side, you're saying like, all right, and it looks like they're making the call now. You plop your Zoe mid, you use her bubbles to fish for some kills, you play aggressively with Morgana, Zac. These people should be able to get up in the enemy team's face, then you've got your AD in your back pocket, but there's a bubble.
And not killed there is Awesominator, able to get out, but just as you were saying, Leche, Zoe 101 and playing over the walls, out of vision, hitting people with bubbles, and even though they don't get the kill there, will force them back to base. I'm a little surprised they haven't started the Dragon, looking for the fight instead. Is going to connect on multiple CCs here on top of Mr. Cookie. Is forced to flash away from the fourth shot, but Camille has gotten onto the backline along with Swain here. Kate going to probably go down pretty quickly. Cobalt trying to survive here. Is going to get an exhaust down on the Swain, who just doesn't have enough damage yet. Looks like Bobby Joe Green will escape now, and Estok left alone will be taken
Swain is
down
still going?
by Zephyrus. Swain's still alive. Zoe in the back line does take down Metal there with the nice splash in from Cobalt. A Drowsy again, and a nice Q connects on Awesominator. They're actually going to leave him be to take down this Drake. And actually, Leche, it looked like a pretty decent fight from Akron that actually finally got some backline access, but this Swain and Camille just so weak with 10 deaths between them collectively, they just can't take them down.
At the beginning of that, I was pretty hyped for Akron going into it, as it seems like they're not even going to give us a break. Zephyrus, calm down, buddy. But yeah, no, at the beginning of that looked pretty good. Camille's on the enemy team backline. Swain is surviving through the fight, right? I was especially surprised at that, actually. And it was looking like Akron could finally get their feet back in this game. And you know if they do, they have the tools to really deal some damage. But they just didn't have all the pieces together yet. Camille just didn't have the damage, and Swain couldn't deal it either. And that just kind of left them in this awkward spot where, well, eventually Aatrox, Zac, they just don't die. Jhin fourth shotting Zoe. It's like 4 bubbles in that fight, just left, right, and center. And yeah, Red Side just ended up coming out big out of that fight with a Dragon on top, and with Ocean Soul, those are going to be important.
Absolutely, Leche. As you mentioned, this Zac pretty much unkillable on Spirit Visage and his Cinder Hulk now, so will immune most of this AP damage coming out from the squad, and Senna not exactly a prestige champion with any of her AD, so a little tough to take him down in these fights. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. Some vision in top river here around this Baron. See both teams kind of hovering around this blue buff with 4 members each. Zoe and the Ari towards this bot side. But nothing much doing as well. They're actually just going to start up this Baron Lich. This is a bold call here.
Ari has no TP. She needs to be with the team, but she's stuck bot side, and it's actually Camille who's up here, and Swain's trying to get something with the vision.
First going in here will land also on Cookie, but he's kind of alone so far. Swain get ultimate now. Is slept by the Zoe, and Cheez It Man's just really strong here in the front line. He's got one already. He's going on to Mr. Cookie. Mr. Cookie's just going to miss with the second Q, but Elevator Musician takes him down. Swain now out of the ultimate. Here's Ari on to Zephyrus. Believe his passive is up. He's going to tick this Ignite. His passive will go down, but they will force Blue Metal away along with Awesominator after taking down 3 members with S-Doc, Mr. Cookie, and Bobby Joe Green going down. They're going to turn back to the Baron, and they should get it, Leche.
When you're in these tight corridors, Aatrox and Zac are not going to give you a chance to do anything. Morgana, Jen, even Zoe. I mean, this is making bubbles pretty much impossible to miss. So when everyone from Akron funneled into that tight corridor and Cheez It Man and Zephyr just said, all right, you know, we'll take this fight. We're like 5k gold up. I'll match you. It looked just so bad for Blue Side and Senna. Just trying to get some kind of vision, making sure that they're still on that objective, and they are. Zephyrus is the one who ends up smiting it, and a full reset comes out from Red Side as they're just going to look to probably push inside waves, play this nice and slow, and just apply pressure from every single angle, making it almost impossible for Akron to wrap this one out.
Absolutely. Don't know if this will be the final push, but should help them break this game wide open as Akron does manage to finally take this mid lane turret down. Was delayed by Elevator Musician. Do get it on that full reset, but are in a world of trouble here. As you mentioned, 5k down with this Baron buff up, and so many of these champions so far ahead of their counterparts, particularly for side lane. You have a 7-0-4 Aatrox, even though he's 50 CS down. He can easily destroy this Camille, though he has built that Black Cleaver. It's a little interesting decision as a ton of armor on the side of Akron, but still should win that side lane pretty handily. And Zoe can just be in any jungle at this point, throwing bubbles wherever she wants. And I think just one of those is an E off the pick. So a lot of danger here for Akron, where a couple mistakes could change this from being a blown open game to an ended game. As you see,
there's one right there.
Landing, but Bobby Joe Green doing a nice job getting over the wall. S-Doc's in a weird position here. He's actually going to get slowed by the Chilling Smite. Zephyr's looking for a second target for his Q. Doesn't land. The bubble just misses. S-Doc's kiting out now. Gets hit by a Q. Is going to be taken down by Zephyrus. Holy cow, enemy musician is all over the place, and Zephyrus is unkillable. From Swain, doesn't see Bobby Joe Green and doesn't quite take him down. Will miss his final shot onto Awesominator. But one person down already, and that's the 80 carry. That's a lot of the wave clear. They should be able to push in pretty hard here and take down multiple turrets. I expect them to at least take a couple inhibitor turrets now. Still 12 seconds on S-Stock if they're
going for Cheez It. Oh, it doesn't even matter. This guy he's been so safe in the side lane, and normally when you do see these kind of side laners play aggressive, get these kills, they're going to be called out a few times as well. But Aatrox, Cheez It Man, has not died once this game, rocking the 1k gold shutdown. This is going to be the third Ocean Dragon. Oh, what? It was the Swing W!
Swing W!
Oh my god.
Oh, that's actually
that's massive.
For the side of Akron, because that was sole point. Or coming up to Slowa's third dragon, that would have been sole point for the side of Emerson here. And now they're delayed another 5 minutes, which just gives Senna more time to stack souls, continue to scale into this game. That was huge for the side of Akron. I still think they're in a world of trouble here. Almost 10k gold now, but with that Senna, it does give them a ray of hope that they have some extra time to stay in this game.
Yeah, to be quite honest, if Emerson took that Ocean Dragon, there was not much that Akron was going to be able to do moving forward in the game. Sure, games are always winnable, but on Soul Point there, you get to be the ones, Emerson would have been the ones who were able to choose these fights exactly when they want them, with the threat of Ocean Soul, pretty much the strongest soul in the game, especially with a healing comp like this, just in their back pocket, being able to use it however they want on the map. But that Swain W, taking it just right from their grasp, was absolutely massive. Blue Metal really starting to make up for his early game performance so far here in the mid lane.
He's justifying the damage build, Leche. He finally justified it.
It was the proto belt that got him in range, I'm sure.
So it was absolutely all planned. All 5-head champ here. 5-head from Blue Metal. Have been thinking about it from game start. Resetting here at this Baron buff is wearing off. A 7k gold lead here for the side of Emerson. Cheese Man arriving back into top lane with his Jorm's Fist now as he's moving towards that Sterix gauge. See Jin now on 3 items with the Storm Razor completed, walking into mid lane here to just a 2.5 still on set. It does finally have her Muramana upgraded, of course. Will still be a lot weaker than the opponent 80 carry. Cobalt there should be feeling pretty good about his life right now.
Yeah, and earlier we were talking about how, you kind of need Zoe, Zach, or Morgana to be the one looking for these picks. But now that Jin, oh my god, what in the world?
Neil in a side lane? Winning?
The Paddle Star still deals so much damage.
Hello?
The Dark
What?
Well, that did just happen, DJ.
I mean, I know she's 0-6, but this is like Camille Zoe. You just got outplayed so hard by Elevator Musician. What?
Yeah, you could tell. Zach goes in.
Oh, nice connect, and that's on the S-Stock. The 80 carry is already down here for Akron. As Zephyr's just going back in, knowing he has the passive. Cheese Man actually looks like he might finally go down here. Too Swain taking too many turret shots. Kate gonna root up. Oh, flash in for Cobalt.
The stopwatch.
Zephyr's picking up Ari here. Blue Metal's
no way.
Stopwatch finally will get away. They finally take down a couple of these huge shutdowns as Cheese It Man and Zephyr's going down, but Cobalt playing the fight pretty well.
Part 2.
Back, dealing at damage. Oh wow, we do. We have the ultimate out this time. Gonna lock in that Zoe, and the auto attacks coming through will get her with the W. That's what it should look a little bit more like, ladies and gentlemen. No matter how, I mean, Zoe is such a good champion and so much damage, but not really a side laner by any measure or by any stretch of the imagination.
No, whacking on bottom lane inhibitor turret while your team is all top, it's not really where Zoe is optimally placed. But, she did deal a nice chunk on that turret. Not going to be healing above 33% now. And Camille's just going back into the opposite lane of the objective. Although she was faltering early, she started to farm her way back into this game. 170 CS. Not optimal, but Aatrox only has 122 because he has been spending so much time with his team, giving them the resources that he should be getting as well. So, I mean, this is one way to get back in the game. Even if you int your expletive off. Camille still has a way to get back in this. If the game extends to like 40 minutes, she'll be able to start matching a lot of these champions in the side.
Absolutely will, although she still does only have 1 item, so that point is still a decent ways away, unfortunately, as they will just start up the second Baron, and I honestly think this is fine. I don't think they have too much to be afraid about. This Zoe can just sit here and do this. Double root here. Kate's sleep into the Kate Q, and Mr. Cook, you're already down to half health. Will be forced to flash away from Cheese Man's Aatrox. Another Q connecting onto Awesome Nader, and they have dropped Baron aggro though, so have slowed them down. It looks like Camille did back, so not creating pressure on that side lane. Just going to immune that root from center there is Kate, as they're going to move back into mid lane. As you can see, the 5th dragon, spawning here, so Emerson's going to move down and try to set up to take this one appropriately this time.
Oh, and in goes Bobby Joe Green. He falls to flash.
More fighting as Zephyrus in on the front line, already down pretty low here. Set Ultimate comes through. We'll give a couple shields. You can see Blue Metal holding up the front line. Cobalt going to be dominating, gets the Ahri down, but Zephyrus no passive this time, going to go down. Cobalt looking to kill Mr. YT. Mr. Cookie does kill him. That's now the last damage. And Cobalt still pretty high. You can see Cheez It Man and Kate pretty low, but do still have Cobalt. Are missing their jungler here, so could potentially lose us to another swing W unless they use the force shot. They do manage to take that dragon. You see S-Stock looking around the side, will not connect with this root. Oh, but Jin, completely unafraid. He's just going to go down.
Look at the damage!
Metal too. There's no way for him to get out here. He should just keep accelerating here. It does have Camille in his pocket. I don't know if Camille can do enough damage. Cheez It Man is here. Oh, they do! Camille finally doing some damage on that Triforce. Should be going down here. Is Kate going to go into stopwatch? Will take down Bobby Joe Green. So Cobalt getting a little over aggressive there, maybe disrespecting his Camille, who is now on 2 items with that Ravenous Hydra, is able to take him down. But wow, he did a crap ton of damage to Estok, just absolutely blew her up with 2 autos.
Yeah. I think that first auto was like 800 damage. When I was talking earlier about you want Zoe, Zach, Morgana to be your one to initially find the pick, preferably Zoe, of course. What I was gonna start getting to before the fight was, now that Jin has Storm Razor and Rapid Fire, he can just walk up to, he can auto you, and pretty much guarantee the route. And that's exactly what you saw there, a fight that Estok was the one who started to take. Cobalt just said, all right, you know, if you want to dance this dance, I will, you know, go to the music. And he did. He just pretty much one-shot her.
A little bit questionable. I play a lot of Senna, and Jin's my main, and I don't think a Senna I ever won a 1v1 duel with Jin. He was someone near me for that matchup.
Yeah, but I do actually really like this build from Senna. She's just going for more damage because she knows that she's going to need it to be able to pierce through the disruption that right now is Red Side's top lane and jungler.
Absolutely agree. Do like the build. The idea is right. She is still stacking up those souls, now up to 62.
Oh, some nice extra range there.
We have Alt sitting here in the top lane next to Awesominator, sitting at 1-3-3. Again, definitely not the impact we had on the Orianna. Ari just a much tougher champion to navigate in some of these teamfight situations, but we are getting we're in aggro now by Emerson College. They're just going to run back on it. They want these fights. They want to force.
Watch Ari. She looks for a charm.
For it here. Not sure who she's going to go for. Well, Unafraid here with that shield. Does connect with his first 2 auto. Gets a Q. Almost gets a W. Not going to go into ult, but Awesominator is out of the fight. Zephyr's now going, and you can see Swain going into the fight, putting a stopwatch up. And nice jump onto Kate there from Bobby Joe Green, trying to get onto the Jin. Will ultimate him. I don't know if they do. Cobalt going down here. They are going to win this. Oh, holy cow! A huge turnaround from Akron as they team fight their way back into this game. That is a 4. That is a 5. It's probably going to be a clean ace here. They can take down Zephyrus, and they will take him down as a clean ace. And they're going to take the Baron Leche, and this is a massive turnaround here for the side of Akron. I can't believe they won that fight. They forced Awesominator out right at the start, and somehow they got enough backline access and damage to just take Cobalt down, and it was huge separated fight for Emerson, and they somehow just take them apart one by one.
Yeah, and this is going to sound a little flamey at the beginning, but Swain was not playing anything right in the early in mid-game. It was not looking good for Blue Metal, but in that fight, he just did exactly what Swain you got to do. Press R, walk into him, and zone yous. And he pretty much zoned out all of the important members of Emerson. Just he said, you don't really want to walk through me. I will deal damage. And that he did. And now that they have gotten Baron, it means they get to dictate all of these wave states for the upcoming 6th dragon of the game, and that is a very, very important dragon for both.
Here's
teams.
Bobby Joe Green jumping onto Cobalt. Does have ult back up. He should just go down here. Yeah, absolutely. Bobby Joe Green, as you mentioned, finally getting to a decent state. He's got 3 items now. He is absolutely going to start blowing people up with this Death Dance completed. He just gets away from Cheez-It Man now, just a little too mobile. Mr. Cookie gonna flash here to get back on a Cheez-It Man, but realizes he doesn't have the follow-up damage. He's just gonna kite back out. Metal decides not to engage as well. This dragon coming up now in 30 seconds. They have Cobalt down. He will respawn just as the dragon comes up, but they should have full control around this spawn. And if they can take this, Leche, I think they're in a great position to just take over this game. As I hear Bobby Joe Green going back in onto Elevated Musician. Not going to connect through Kate's Black Shield, but I can see Zephyrus in the back. I think he's just probably looking for a steal on his own. I don't know where he is. They're just coming around the side here. They haven't started the Drake yet. He's going to hop onto it. We'll start it on his own. There's a Redemption coming in to provide some damage and a little bit of vision here. Your Cheez-It Man being jumped on by Bobby Joe Green is now level 18. He's got a huge chunk of damage. Probably gonna, great stopwatch by Kate. Gonna ult back onto Elevated Musician. Does get the Drowsy off. The shield procs it. Here comes Estok, gonna take down 2. Oh my god, Bobby Joe Green is running all over them now. And the fight is breaking down here for Emerson as Zephyrus is all alone the backside. He wasn't able to steal the Drake. Are you going to chase him over the wall and bring him down? And it's all falling apart here, Leche. They are catching up. They're 2K gold up. They have 3 dragons. They have Baron. They're pushing in towards the inhibitor turrets. And Bobby Joe Green is now unstoppable with 8 kills.
I feel so proud. I remember when this guy was 0-7.
Oh my God, Awesominator. Flash Charm on a Cobalt. He goes down. There's no more wave clear. This is at least 1 inhibitor for the side of Akron. And maybe more as Cheez-It Man, the only one up. And 22 seconds. Sorry, 10 seconds on Elevator Musician, 18 on Zephyrus, and 30 on Cobalt. They are just going to take that inhibitor and back off, look to pressure other lanes. But this game has turned entirely on its head, Leche. I can't believe it.
And it was in that crazy Baron fight where Bobby Joe Green picked up incredibly important kills. If we can see the gold earlier, it was all Cheez-It Man running this top lane matchup right. But now, Bobby Joe Green, he's got more items than Aatrox does. Aatrox has gained literally 20 CS over the last 10 minutes. This guy has not been farming. He's not been, ramping up his damage like he should have been. And that has given Bobby Joe Green the opportunity to become unmatched in the side lane, which is Camille's win condition. And it had looked doomed for this guy. But now, he's back on the map, and that gives the rest of his team so much flexibility in how they play these fights when he can just walk up and 1v3 the enemy team.
Absolutely. I think he's pretty much unstoppable. And, I do want to give Cheez-It Man, I think, some credit. I think he had the right idea. You're so far ahead. This Camille is fairly useless in the early game. You can group with your team and take objectives, but some mistakes or good, either on the Emerson side and some good play on the side of Akron. They were able to steal that Drake away and stall out this game. And I think we all know that, even if a Camille's behind, there is a point in every game where she just outscales an Aatrox. She's way too mobile to get hit by his Qs. And we just reached that point after that Baron fight, and now it's so hard for this comp, for this Aatrox in particular, but for this whole comp on Emerson's side to survive. Is they're going to try to jump on Bobby Joe Green with everybody here. Dodges away from the first route, going to eat out of the Infernal Chains. They just can't do anything to him, and they're going to lose an inhib for it.
What can you do? This guy has a hook shot every 5 seconds. He's just flashing.
Going back in, trying to take some people down. Finally does get stunned up. Does have Ignite ticking. Heal is going down. Slow. Gets the shield from Senna. If he can dodge these Jin bullets, he should survive. Dodges the first two. Hit by the third. Gets hit by the fourth and finally goes down. But the whole team is collapsing, and this is going to be a wash. Cobalt is already dead. Zephyrus is trying to tank something on the front line, but they're going to run Kate down, and there's nobody to help him. He will fall into his passive. He will go down, and this should be the game and the series for Akron here. What an incredible comeback from this team, from Bobby Joe Green, and from Akron as a whole. I cannot believe they've won this game, Leche.
Yeah, and Emerson had the tools to win this fight. They had so much disruption. Senna should not have been able to get in the game, right? Bobby Joe Green just didn't have the gold. But eventually, as he started getting more and more, what is your disruption type frontliners gonna do when your backline is just getting dove on and 1v3?
This is the charm here, but does still try to go in onto Elevator Musician. Won't quite take him down as they're gonna start onto these Nexus turrets. Apologize for the cutting off there as we had these this action here. Leche, they're going on to the second next turret. Cheez-It Man in his ult, but just not very strong anymore. Not connecting with any of his Qs.
The Nexus is open.
Kate respawning, but they can't wave clear. Here's Cobalt coming back in. They're autoing the Nexus down. It's half health. Cheez-It Man is about to fall down. He will go down to 3, and that's the game! They have done it! Akron with an improbable, nearly impossible seemingly turnaround here. At 1 point down, 10k gold, and they will turn around and win game 2 and win this series, upsetting the 3 seed Emerson College in the process. Incredible game here from the Akron Impact, Leche.
Yeah, that game was looking. We talked about it pretty much the whole time, right? But that game was looking pretty doomed, especially that top lane. This Aatrox should have run away with the game pretty much solo with the tools of Bubble and Jin W and Morgana binding. It should have been over. But look at the damage charts, DJ. Camille is nearly
insane.
On top. And that was probably all in the last 10 minutes after that Baron fight. Let's be real. She was not dealing anything until that last fight, but she got the 3 items. She got the 4 items, and suddenly I mean, how do you lock her down, right? No bubbles are going to hit her. She's not hit by any bindings or snares. You just don't have the peel as well because you've built your entire comp, Akron has, or pardon me, Emerson has, around, just messing up the enemy backline. Aatrox, Zach, these are real disruptors. And then the rest of your team is very poke-centric or very pick-centric, looking for these, ways into the game and kind of brute forcing small leads. And that's what they were doing. But when Camille's on your backline, what is a Zach going to do, right? What is an Aatrox going to do? And Zoe can't land her bubbles. It was just absolutely insane play. That last miracle fight that got Akron back in the game, gave them the momentum and gave them the strength to just wipe this series.
I agree with you more, Leche. An incredible turnaround here from the Akron Impact in Game 2, and they will take the series 2-0 against Emerson College tonight and advance in the Iowa Division C bracket to face the winner of Meowington Inc. or the OC Eagles. Yeah, I absolutely love that name. But that is going to be all we have for you here tonight. Tune in tomorrow to see our Division B League of Legends first round of the playoffs. Once again, I am DJ, joined by Leche. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and we will see you back on the Rift tomorrow.